What's up, Lexi Mob? It's Alexiana. Welcome back to my channel. Now, today's video, I'm coming at y'all with a Tubi movie review. And the movie that I'm going to be reviewing is Cries of Desire. Insert picture here. I would insert the trailer, but obviously due to copyright, I can't do that. So I'm just going to link it down below. You'll thank me later. Now, if you're not familiar with what Tubi basically is a free movie streaming website. Where you can view all kinds of movies and stuff like that. New ones, old ones, you name it. The actors are phenomenal. The men stay looking fine as hell. Like, Tubi is the shit. Everybody and their mama stay talking about them. Anyways, and some of the actors and actresses I follow on Instagram too. And this Cries of Desire movie and stuff like that, to me, I feel like it screams the importance of self-love, childhood trauma that can hinder you into adulthood, and let alone karma. And we're going to get into it. Basically, this movie tells a story about this man named Jermaine. He's a good-looking male model, and he stays verbally abusing his wife and stuff like that, to the point where she gets in a car wreck and stuff like that, and it pretty much leaves her bedridden and whatnot. And he ends up cheating on her and moving a woman and stuff like that into his house while he's still married to his wife who is bedridden. He keeps her locked up in some spare bedroom and stuff like that. And the crazy girl, I'm calling her a crazy girl, the girl he had moved into his house, the crazy girl ends up finding his wife and stuff like that, and later on killing her and stuff like that. And then she later ends up, holding him hostage and stuff like that. It ends up shooting him and whatnot, to where it leaves him paralyzed from the waist down and whatnot. And like, it's a crazy movie to say the least. And I just want to say this too. I gotta give Buddy the props. Even though he was an asshole, I gotta give Buddy props. At least he didn't physically abuse her, because I feel like as viewers of movies and whatnot, we stay seeing so many movies and whatnot about men physically abusing women, to the point where it's time to switch it up, because to me, in my honest opinion, I feel like a man or a woman can hurt their spouse better with their words versus with their fists, because to me, words can hurt and they can cut deep, especially from someone that you love. Like, you don't have to put your hands on someone to hurt them. You can hurt someone and scar someone deep better with your words than your fists. That's just my opinion. So yeah, big props to Buddy for not physically abusing her, but he was still an asshole. He got everything that was coming to him. And let's touch on this. Like I said, it screams the importance of self-love, childhood trauma, and karma. Let's talk about self-love. I want to say it like this. To all the men and women that are watching this video, listen up. If you're not happy with yourself, you're wasting time trying to find in someone else. It starts with you. You can be your own worst enemy. You can be your own worst enemy. You can be your own best friend. It's all up to you. If you're not happy with yourself, you're wasting time trying to find in someone else. It starts with you. You can build yourself up. You can tear yourself down. It's all up to you. And I just want to say this, like, sis, I have a feeling like with the girl that played Ariel, the girl's name was Ariel and stuff like that. She was a very pretty lady, but yet you let this man's words get to you to the point where you thought you were the problem, but really you weren't. It's him. So that's why I say, learn to be okay with being by yourself first before you decide to get in a relationship. Because one thing about people, dog-ass people, men and women, they feed off of low self-esteem, and they use that to their advantage to make you feel bad, to lift themselves up. When in reality, no, it's not you, it's them. So learn to love yourself first, and learn to be alone by yourself before you even think about getting a relationship. Because one thing about people, if they see that you're desperate, if they see that your self-esteem is low, they will use that to their advantage to get what they want out of you, to make you feel bad while they knock you down to build themselves up. And it shouldn't be like that. I feel like, in a way, it never touched on their backstory and whatnot of how they met and whatnot, but I have a feeling that that's a relationship that sis had rushed into. Or maybe, she probably did give it time, and over time people show their true colors. But if you want my honest opinion, I feel like sis had rushed into that relationship and stuff like that, and turns out Buddy wasn't what she thought he was. Buddy wasn't what she thought he was. That's just my opinion. Again, the movie never touched on their backstory as to how they got together, but that's just my opinion. I just feel like she rushed into it, and obviously he ended up being an asshole, and he wasn't what she thought he was. So yeah, that's the self-love part. Self-love is the best love. Don't y'all ever forget it. And speaking of self-love, I just want to say this. I think I had said this in the TikTok video a long while back. One thing that I cannot stand that people ask me is this, like, say if I'm dressing up like this, or if I'm just looking fly as hell, a lot of people love to come up to me and be like, oh, who you looking good for? Who you looking good for? I'm looking good for myself. I don't need a man to look good. I am a badass bitch all on my own. I do not need a man to validate me. Like, self-love's the best love. Just because I ain't got no man, so I'm not going to be walking around looking bummy and crusty, dusty as hell. I'm going to be walking around like the badass bitch I know I am. Like, yeah, self-love's the best love. If you're not happy with yourself, you're wasting time trying to find other people. Like I said, it starts with you. You can be your own best friend, you can be your own worst enemy. It's all up to you. So, yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Childhood trauma. I'm a firm believer, I think one YouTuber has said this in a video, I can't remember who. I'm a firm believer in what you go through as a child can and will hinder you in adulthood. I'm going to say it like this. The way Buddy was verbally abusing his wife, I have a feeling, he's seen the deed done before, and it passed down from his father onto him to where he's now doing it to his wife. I have a feeling like, again, it never touched on his childhood or anything like that, but if I can make an assumption as the viewer, I would assume that as a little boy, he probably saw his father either verbally or physically abuse his mother and stuff like that, and probably, drill that in his son's head like, hey son, this how you supposed to treat women if they don't mind, this, that, and the third. And yeah, it just passed down from his father onto him to the point where, he's now doing it to his wife. And you never know, his father, when his father was a little boy, probably saw his father do it to his wife, and then the father, when he had a son, had passed it down to him. Like, I have a feeling like it was just a generational curse / something that was passed down to him. Like, his father, he had saw his father do it to his wife, and so he had saw his father do it to his mother, and the father just passed it down to him when he had a son. So, yeah. I'm a firm believer in what you go through as a child, better yet, what you're taught as a child, can and will hinder you in adulthood. Because one thing I know about children are smarter than what we give them credit for. They are. Because one thing about children, they pay attention to everything. They look at things and they observe things and stuff, and it gets instilled in their mind to where they think, oh, well, if my parents think like this, or, oh, if my parents do these things, I guess it's okay for me to do it. And once they grow up in adulthood, they're pretty much grown on their own. They pretty much take heed to that. So, yeah. And I want to say this. I feel like, okay, if you're watching this and you have children, don't take my advice and stuff like that. I'm just a man on the internet, just making a video. Y'all don't know me from a can of paint. I'm just giving advice, so don't burn me at the stake for what I'm about to say. If you're watching this and you have children, little children or older children, whatever the case may be, if you have children, be careful as to what you teach them growing up. Because when they get older, it may rub off on them to the point where they're going to think that that stuff is okay. But keep in mind, at the same time, when you get grown, you're old enough to make your own decisions and whatnot. You can either go against what your parents did, or you can take heed to what your parents did. I mean, it's all up to you when you're grown. But as a parent raising a child, be careful as to what you teach them growing up. Because like I had said, once they get older to the point where they can make their own decisions, they're going to take heed to what you had did, but what you taught them and stuff like that, and what you did growing up, to the point where when they get older and stuff into adulthood, they're going to think that stuff is okay. So, yeah, as parents, be careful as to what you teach your kids while they're growing up. Be careful. Because you never know how a child's going to turn out in the future. You never know who you're raising these days. So, yeah. I have a feeling, childhood trauma played into why he did his wife the way that he did. That's just my opinion. And also, let's touch on the last one, karma. One thing about karma, it's just like that song from that Diary of a Mad Black Woman movie goes like, ain't it funny how life goes around? The same people you meet going up, you see the same ones coming down. Like, karma's a bitch. She's a bigger bitch than Katrina. Katrina ruined the whole state. Karma will ruin your whole motherfucking life. And that's what happened to Buddy. Like, I just hate the fact that his wife had got into a car accident. Like, the minute she started to love herself, and the minute she found her worth, and the minute she found the strength to leave and stuff like that, she had to get into a car wreck, and it left her bedridden, and it left her back in the arms of that asshole and stuff like that, to where he even abused her more, didn't even clean her up when she soiled herself, like, to the point where the crazy bitch ended up suffocating her and killing her. Like, I just hate when bad things happen to good people. Even though it's just a movie, I just hate when bad things happen to good people. I just hate that shit. But anyways, yeah, I'm a firm believer in karma because, yeah, like, his karma came in the form of a crazy ass bitch that ended up killing his bedridden wife and ended up shooting him in the back and whatnot, to the point where it left him paralyzed from the waist down, to where he lost his modeling career and everything, and he ended up taking his own life in the end. Sorry to be a spoiler for the ones that haven't seen the movie, but yeah, Buddy ended up taking his own life in the end. And I'm not a big fan of people taking their own lives. I'm not a big supporter of that. But in that aspect, that bastard deserved that shit from what you did to Ariel. You deserve that shit. Here it is, you had a good woman, but you treated her like shit. And tried to pretty much do what I call the Pygmalion effect. If y'all are not familiar with, well, this is just something I had made up. The Pygmalion effect, basically, okay, let me first explain what Pygmalion is, if y'all don't know anything about literature. Pygmalion is a play by George Bernard Shaw that later was turned into My Fair Lady. And basically, in it, the man tried to mold Eliza Doolittle into pretty much being a stepfoot wife. And I have a feeling that's what, he tried to mold Ariel into being, a stepfoot wife. The Pygmalion effect, trying to mold her into being something that she's not, And, yeah. Like, karma's a bitch. Karma is a bitch. Like, his karma came in the form of a crazy bitch that killed his wife, shot him in the back, left him paralyzed from the waist down, and ended up losing his modeling career over it. And let alone, like, when he was paralyzed from the waist down and stuff like that, his house was dirty and then he went in the room where his wife's body was discovered and stuff like that, and you sat there crying like a little bitch, which I get it. Your wife was murdered in that room, but you crying like a little bitch and stuff like that after losing your wife, when in reality, dude, it's because of you she was in the damn situation that she was in. And she ended up being pregnant and whatnot, and you ended up pretty much telling her how to care for herself while she's pregnant, telling her to eat healthy while she's pregnant and stressing her out. And that's the number one thing that they say to a pregnant woman. I mean, that's the number one they tell people about a pregnant woman. Do not stress her out because it's not good for the baby. And she ended up miscarrying. And you ended up blaming it on her. And she ended up in a car wreck, which, I hate to say this, but the car wreck thing kind of was her fault because he was calling her and she tried to reach in her purse to get her phone, and she hit a truck and stuff like that, and it ended up making her bedridden. It was kind of her fault, but still, like, it was kind of her fault, like, while she, you know, kind of ended up bedridden and whatnot, but still, like, it was just sad. Like, she didn't deserve to die. Like, you was in the room and whatnot crying about losing your wife, which you should, but it's because of you she was in the situation she was in. You dogged her out. When she was bedridden, you pretty much left her in her own piss and shit. You act like you didn't want to feed her. You ended up moving a soon-to-be crazy bitch in your house. It's because of you all this shit happened. That's why I say karma is a bitch. That's why it's important. If you're watching this video, always try to do the right thing and treat people the way you want to be treated. Because that thing called karma is a bigger bitch than Katrina. Like I said, Katrina ruined the whole state. Karma will ruin your whole motherfucking life. So think before you act and always do the right thing. And like I had said, in the end of the movie, Buddy ended up taking his own life, which he deserved that shit because how you treated that lady. You had a good wife and you pretty much tried to mold her into being a stepfoot wife, belittling her, not wanting to care for her while she was bedridden, leaving her in her own feces and urine. All kinds of stuff. You had a good wife, but yet you treated her like shit. And now she's gone and stuff like that. You pretty much want to wish for water when the well ran dry? Like, no. That goes to show you, you never know what you got till it's gone. It's only when she was murdered and that she was gone, you realize what you had. When in reality, you should have treated her like the queen she was when she was alive. And maybe none of this stuff would have happened. She could have had a healthy baby. She never would have gotten in the car wreck if you just would have been a nice guy. So, yeah. And I know what all y'all thinking in the comments. It's just a movie. You're reading too much into it. It's just a movie. No shit, Sherlock. I know it's just a movie. This is just, this is just me as a viewer, giving my honest opinion. And I feel like I was all over the place with this movie and whatnot, but I just want to come on here and give my honest opinion about it. And like I said, that movie to me screams the importance of self-love, childhood trauma, and karma. I hope I gave some good advice here. Like, I felt like I was all over the place with it, but yeah. That's just about it for this video. Like always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to insert my social media handles over here as well in the description box down below. So feel free to add and follow me on those. Also, don't forget to turn on post notifications because if you don't, like literally, what's the point? Anyways, peace out, bitches.